Good evening, everyone, and welcome into today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jacob Milham, and before we get into the latest episode, I do want to apologize to our dear listeners out there. We recorded an episode Thursday evening while the Royals were just suddenly coming out of nowhere and beating the St. Louis Cardinals with a large run output. And unfortunately, found out on Saturday that there were some issues with the hosting, and here we are on Sunday, and it's still not showing up. Some of these things happen, but we greatly appreciate your support and hope that that gets up there. But Jeremy, we're here. We're talking about the Royals winning a series, right?
Yeah. It could have been a sweep, but like I always say, Jacob, when you miss those PATs, it doesn't work out for you.
It really doesn't. This was the equivalent of a Big Ten football game with Iowa on one side and, may I say, let's see here, Rutgers on the other side. The Royals losing today 12-10
Oh,
to
I thought it was
their
14 to
I-70
12.
rivals.
That made more sense
14-12.
if it was 14 to 12.
Yeah, it's fine. Ain't the end of the
That's
world.
my bad. I was just I've really, with all the runs that were scored today, I think both sides should have scored two.
I think so. I absolutely think so. The Royals, this is just the latest entry in their lineup, really getting the job done in June. They have taken a massive step forward, but unfortunately, it's another loss where that doesn't matter simply because there are too many injuries on the pitching side of the house. But Jeremy, here's the thing. I know we talk about, like, if you're going to win a game, win the Sunday game, right? But I feel really good about the Royals, like, winning the first two of this series, and if they swept, great. If they didn't, okay, that's fine.
There's something to be said for a game where the team is doing good things. When you lose that Sunday game and it's 3-1, it's like, yeah, the pitching was fine. It wasn't great. And the hitting was missing entirely. But when you lose 12-10, you're like, well, the pitching was bad, but the hitting was good. So we were at least having some fun. We got to see some dingers. We got to see another pair of Jack Dongs.
Mm-hmm.
He should probably see a medical professional about that.
Probably so.
And Carter went deep. And, Lofton's not as important probably for the Royals' future as those two guys, but that swing he put on his home run was pretty fun too.
Yes, it is.
So, it was nice to see the young sluggers slug.
Yes, it was. That had to be a great thing for the Royals faithful out there in Kauffman Stadium. And, just overall, it was a pretty nice day out there in Kauffman. I'm very jealous. Heat index is, close to 100 out here in Virginia. Meanwhile, it's 77 degrees out there in Kansas City. So I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah, I don't know what the temperature is here in Georgia today. I haven't looked. I don't want to know what the temperature is here in Georgia. All I know is it is too hot.
I concur with that here in Virginia. Before we hop into the numbers and some other Royals news, just a reminder, as always, to subscribe and follow the podcast wherever you're listening to us at. Once again, another week of Jeremy just putting in absolute work on the Spotify comment section. I greatly appreciate their work on that. It's a big lift. You're keeping the conversation going, and that matters, man.
You know me, I like to talk, Jacob. Sometimes too much.
Sometimes, not all the time,
So
though.
so we you drop me in a comment section, and then with people, the real shout out, Jacob, is that the people in the Spotify comments are fun to talk to.
Yes.
I don't show up in a comment section where people are being jerks, where people are being mean, where people are being more negative than is deserved. Our commenters, shout out to y'all. I enjoy talking to you, so I'm gonna keep doing it until I don't, and then I won't. I've tried to set a rule for myself within the last couple of years where I will give somebody one chance to get their act together, and then I'll move
Okay.
on. So like today, the Royals were down early, big early, and that was kind of a bummer. People were not happy about it over on Blue Sky. And somebody replied, well, this is what they get for wearing those red caps against the Cardinals. And I'm like,
Jeez.
do you really want to, you want to criticize the Negro Leagues caps? Is that what you want to say? And he doubled down on it. So I'm done with you. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Mm,
That's the end of that conversation. I'll give you one chance.
yes.
I always feel like I don't want to cut someone off for saying something inappropriate or that I strongly disagree with once, because sometimes you just don't have all the facts. And I'm like, well, maybe this guy doesn't know they're the Negro Leagues hats. Now he just
Mhm.
doesn't care.
Agreed. And circling back to that comment community, that's really one of the reasons why Royals Review has been doing what it's been doing for so long, is just like an actual community there. I mean, there's so many names, so many taglines, I should say, that I see that I've been seeing for more than a decade on that site. So if you ever want to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've been here long enough that I came in when some of the regulars were phasing out, and the regulars who were phasing in have phased out since then.
Yeah. Yeah, it is all that to say, if you want to voice your Royals opinions or if you just want to support the work that's going on over there, go check out royalsreview.com. The rumblings every single morning. If you want to start a conversation or just highlight something to other Royals fans, you could drop it in the feed over there. I think that's a tool that is readily available for fans. And Jeremy, honestly, it's been a while since we talked about like us starting out in the fan posts. Do you remember that? Like that seems like such a distant thing, but like it's important.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fan posts aren't really a thing anymore, but as you've indicated, they can feed the feed, and Max keeps an eye on all this stuff. He I didn't have to approach Max and be like, "Hey, I want to write for Royals Review." Max came to me and said, "Hey, I see you've been writing these fan posts. You're not half bad. Would you be interested in joining the team?" And then from there, we figured out if I was going to contribute enough to get paid, and then we move forward. And Max is a tremendous managing editor for Royals Review. I'm super grateful for him. I'm super grateful for the community. I'm super grateful for all of it. This has been these 10 years of writing for Royals Review are just a huge positive for me. The only thing that I could say eclipses them is probably podcasting with you, Jacob.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that. I haven't been here 10 years, but it's been a hell of a ride so
Well,
far.
we gotta keep going as long as we can. I'm not gonna let you leave anytime soon. I know the Royals are bad, and it's hard to think of things to write or say right now. I'm sitting here going, man, I'm so glad I signed up for 2 game threads this year, so I don't have to think of something to write about in between games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. This is so much fun to sit here and talk with you every week, twice a week.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, twice a week here on the feed. So make sure you if you want to, you can just find our episodes up on royalsreview.com under the podcast section. That's where you can find the Royals rundown each and every episode. All right, so we'll dive in a little bit here to the St. Louis Cardinals series, but there is something that is overshadowing the series win, I would say. And it was a moment that had several Royals fans holding their breath. And is that June 18th game when Bobby Witt Jr. left the field early, Tyler Tolbert coming in, pinch hitting for him. And after the game, we got news that it was a grade 1 MCL sprain for Witt. And, he hasn't been in the lineup since. He's going to be reevaluated ahead of Monday night's game. He's not on the IL yet. Like there's not a whole lot of movement here, right? Like it sounds like the team is optimistic that this isn't something more serious, but I take that with a massive grain of salt after they said the similar thing about Cole Reagans.
Yeah, and listen, Jacob, I've complained about the way the Royals handle injuries for literal years. For literal years. And Bobby Witt Jr., they said it's a 1 to 3 week timeline for a return, and that it is not related to the previous knee injury that he's been dealing with. So, first of all, BS. Uh, if you've hurt your knee, you're probably doing different things to it to accommodate that injury, and that's probably what helped lead to this injury, even if it's not the exact same injury. Second of all, if it's 1 to 3 weeks of recovery, why are you evaluating 3 days later to determine if he's going on the IL? What? And then, of course, Maikel Garcia has been out for a few days with that left hand injury that he's been dealing with for most of the season. He hasn't had a home run in over a month.
Wild to me.
And he's out here today. He's playing shortstop today, batting second, and everything he's hitting is going the opposite way. Ryan Lefevre says, "Oh, he's having a hard luck day. He's hit it hard every time." Well, if you go look at the exit velocities, he's hit it hard once. Now he did consistently hit it over 90, so I'll give you that. But only one of those was over 95. And when he's hitting it the other way in the air, that means he's behind the ball. It means that and that maybe the swing speed is still the same from last year. I noticed he's still 2 miles up from what he was doing in 24. So he's not lost the swing speed, but if the injury is making him hesitate at all, and then he's going the other way, well, that's why he's not getting hits, why his power has vanished. It's and then you see Stephen Kolek pitching today, and they come out and look at him and then keep him in the game, but he's consistently missing up and arm side, which is almost always an indicator that a pitcher is not finishing his pitches, which is usually an indicator that he's hurt. And then Matt Strom, same problem in the 8th inning, was it? He pitched
I think
7th, 8th
so.
inning?
Yeah,
No, he pitched
somewhere in
he
there.
pitched because Beck Way pitched the last 2 innings, so so the
So it
7th
would've been
inning
the
for
7th.
Strom, but he was missing up and arm side, and he was grabbing at his knee, and the Royals didn't even go out and look at him.
No.
And he's been so bad since he came back from the IL. My first thought was, well, he's still hurt. And then he's grabbing at his knee. Yeah, he's still hurt. Why? They need to put guys on the IL and stop trying to rush them back and let them get healthy. Would Cole Reagans and Chris Bubich be back now if the Royals hadn't been like, oh, it's fine, you'll be able to just go right back into your throwing progressions? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But it's a question I had to ask because I watched them rush all these other guys back. I watched Sal today in one of his at-bats. He checked his swing and then looked like he couldn't stand up. He did immediately hit one off that Jordan Walker made a leaping grab against the wall to bring in.
Great grab.
Great catch. But, is Sal 100%? Is he 90%? Is he 80%? The guy's having trouble standing up, it looks like. I mean, it's and again, these guys deal with pain all year long. Nobody's 100% healthy at this point of the year, but what are we doing? Why
I
are
know,
we
right?
It's one thing to have a guy go out there when he's hurt and you're like, well, we got to win this game and he gives us the best chance to win. You don't got to win the games anymore. The season's over. You're not going to the playoffs. What you got to do is protect your guys and, maybe give some other guys a chance. If Maikel and Bobby went on the IL, yes, that sucks for trying to win games. It sucks for trying to watch games to some degree, though we do have Carter and Cags that are just lighting things up right now. But, we could see, does Peyton Wilson have something? Does Brett Squires have something? The answer is probably not, but you better find that out so that you know what you're dealing with next year when you might be able to compete again.
Exactly. And like that's just to close out that thread, I was putting together a piece on like, hey, who are like the 3 guys who are poised for a call up to Omaha? One infield guy, one outfield guy, and one pitcher. And infield, of course, I had to go with Squires. And I found a lot of parallels between him and Ryan McBroom, right? A lot, like the profile is very similar. But here's also the thing about context. McBroom got a call up to the majors because the Royals, they had nothing to lose, right? They gave him opportunities because they're like, there's nothing to lose having him be a DH or a first baseman. Did it work out? No, but they tried it then at least. And, frankly, this season is heading towards the nothing to lose territory right now. The Royals are 32-46 right now. And just they're not getting back in it. I get it. They're, as we record, I think they're 6 games out of a wild card spot. This team is not poised to get back into that race. That's not their gambit. And even if they do, it would be foolhardy luck. And it would not be a process that would be sustainable beyond this season. So I say all that. The Royals are in a perfect spot right now. You have these guys locked up for multiple years. Let them rest, let them heal, let them get back to 100%. And if we don't see them till August, okay, that's fine. It's going to make for unwatchable baseball, but the current product is damn near unwatchable as it is. And just the Bobby Witt Jr. injury just reminded me it can always get worse. And, we're here complaining about injury stuff when we were recording that episode. I was like, oh, well, can it really get worse? Yeah. Can you imagine the Royals without Bobby Witt Jr. on the field? Yes, it can
And
definitely get worse.
and I get, you wanna have Bobby on the field because he's looking to try and win the 2nd MVP ever in Kansas City, but, excuse me, he's what if you bring him back after a week and make him play hurt for a while, that's gonna hurt his numbers. Al As much as if you just let him sit for 2 weeks and then bring him back when he's mostly healthy, you know? I don't understand, and so, with Maikel Garcia, maybe it's like, well, he's not gonna be any healthier until the end of the season when he can just stop entirely, and if we let him take the entire thing off, he still wouldn't be better till the end of the year, so you're like, "Well, whatever, we're gonna keep playing him." But it's also frustrating. It's so frustrating to see this for everyone. If it was just Maikel Garcia and somebody said, "Listen, yes, he's hurt. Yes, it's hurting his production, but it's not gonna get worse if we keep playing him, and it's not gonna get better if we stop playing him." Then I would go, "Okay," but they don't. They're always so cagey. They're always,
Mhm.
"Oh, we can't tell you anything. Can't do it. Everyone's gonna be healthy. It's fine. Everyone's fine. Stop asking questions."
Yeah. Which two notes courtesy of Jalen Thompson on the Royals beat right now. So what Q said in regards to Witts Jr. is that he feels better walking around and trying to get the swelling out. Quote, we're going to reevaluate as the day goes on. And so this is referring to Sunday. Get him a bunch of treatments and see how he's feeling before we take off, before they hit the road for that June 22nd game, which, I think is appropriate. If
Well,
he's, go ahead.
they have to put him on the if they're gonna put him on the IL, they need to do it before tomorrow's game or else they won't be able to backdate it.
Correct. Correct. So that's what I was going to get to is because like
Sorry.
this, like, no, it's, we will probably know a more definitive answer by the time folks are listening to this episode. So I just wanted to clarify that. One thing that also did bug me about Maikel Garcia is to his credit, he was a shortstop today. He looked just fine at shortstop, the position that he played coming up through the organization before he shifted to the hot corner. But Jalen also said that Garcia was using some of Witt's bats, a little bit of a different knob at the end of it to help with the sting of hitting a foul ball at the plate. Those were his words. But maybe this is just how he framed the tweet, or maybe this is what Garcia said verbatim. Said, "quote Garcia feels good and just won't know truly until he takes those swings. Should have known before you put him in the lineup how he's feeling when he takes those swings. Like, right?
I
Isn't that the logical approach?"
what how I rate it is, everything checks out as far as we can check it before the game starts. It's not until he starts fouling pitches off because pitchers are trying to get him out that we'll know if
Okay.
it's gonna be too much for him to handle. That's how I read it, but I could be wrong.
Okay. No, I think that's a more sensible way to look at it. And also speaking of being sensible, I completely overlooked something. Happy Father's Day, everyone
Yeah.
out there. It's being a father is a very important job, and you don't have to be a blood father to be a father figure to someone. Always remember that. And so if you're listening to this, if you're not a father, if you have a father or that father figure, I greatly wish and hope that you reach out to those people in your life. But Jeremy, we're heading, go ahead.
Is it entirely inappropriate if I remind you that everyone has a father?
Who's everyone's
Biological
father?
requirement?
Yes, yes, yes. Everyone has a father.
Unless Jurassic Park is less science fiction than I've been led to believe.
Da 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 da. I'm just gonna sing.
I don't think I've ever heard that song sound worse.
Okay, that's, you know what, and my father did not teach me to sing it any better.
Well,
So
there you go.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, I since Jurassic Park is brought up and we're talking about fathers, I do have to tell a story about my father in
Let's
Jurassic
hear
Park
it.
now.
Let's hear it.
Alright, so I was a kid, pretty little kid. I don't know how old I
Wait,
was
you were a
exactly
kid?
when Jurassic Park came out.
Hold on. You were a kid?
I know, Jacob. Everyone thinks I was programmed directly as an adult, but no, I was once a child,
Mind blown.
and I really wanted to watch Jurassic Park. I don't remember why. I think it might have had something to do with my brother seeing the sequel in theaters, and I was like, "Well, if he's gonna see the sequel in theaters, then I wanna watch the original." But I was too scared to watch it. I'm a scaredy cat. Still, as an adult, as a 40-year-old, I'm still a scaredy cat. So, I was like, "Dad, will you watch this movie with me? Because it's gonna be scary." And we got to as far as the eggs hatching. So he's brought the archaeologists and Ian Malcolm, and he's like showing off the park, and the egg is hatching. And I'm like, is that baby dinosaur gonna bite his hand off? And my dad's like, if you're already this scared, we don't need to watch any more Jurassic Park. So I didn't ever watch the movie until 2018. I
Really?
finally forced myself to sit down and watch Jurassic Park. Fantastic movie, but it was too scary for me until I was in my 30s.
I understand. I understand. And that's, I'm going to review a scary movie for my Royals Review reviews today. So that is, if you're into that, make sure you keep on listening.
And that was my dad trying to take care of me like he always has.
There you go. And that's important. And that's what matters most. All right. Back to Royals baseball real quick. So, the Royals have been much better in June when it comes to scoring runs, but there are some things that I want to highlight today. First and foremost, so they today marks the first time in more than 3 years that they have lost despite scoring 10 runs. Like it feels like I see one of those sort of games every single day in the MLB.com score tracker. And just it's been that long since the Royals have done that. Just absolutely astounds me. It just speaks to how inconsistent, I think is the kind word to put it, this lineup has been over the past few years.
Well,
But
also how good the pitching has been because
yes,
when they
yeah,
score this many runs, they usually win.
hmm exactly. They went 3-3 against the Cardinals. They split that season series. I will absolutely take that. If you had to ask me who the Royals' rival is, I would say the St. Louis Cardinals. I know it's not a primal rivalry as some other rivals are, but that is the Royals' rival.
Some people take
Something
it so seriously you can't even wear a red cap to celebrate the Kansas City Monarchs.
apparently so.
I mean,
Apparently
I'll
so.
let it go eventually, but
Do you? Well, hold on. Do you want to go down this rabbit hole? Because I got some burrowing to do on this rabbit hole.
I'm curious and scared, but more curious than scared.
I am still livid that big MLB will not let the Royals wear the full Kansas City Monarchs
Yeah,
get up. I am still
125%, and that's something else that person said that I did agree with.
yes. I am still like I livid as I'm pissed. Like as a fan. Like, come on. That is such an integral part of baseball history. Let them have a freaking day to recognize it. Come on. And then it just like I saw it on the when they put out the lineup graphic, right? Salute to Negro Leagues. It's like, oh man, like, a few years ago, they would have been in the full get up and like
Mhm.
it would be a noticeable thing,
Yep.
right? It wouldn't just be a patch. But then we get Bob Kendrick in the game and we hear him on like this man has so much passion for Negro Leagues baseball and just for the game today in general. And he's right here in Kansas City. And we won't recognize and MLB won't let us recognize it. Like, come on.
Remember the first time they didn't wear the Negro Leagues uniforms? Maybe not the first time, but the first time in a while they didn't wear them. They said that Nike had fallen behind and they couldn't keep up and make the Negro Leagues uniforms. Well, then Nikes shouldn't be behind anymore. And certainly the minor league teams all have 20 different uniforms. So you can't tell me Nike can't make a fifth uniform or a sixth uniform, however many it is, for MLB teams, even to use just once. You can't tell me that. So it boggles the mind. It's infuriating. It's stupid. It does feel like the Royals have been kind of cheaping out on the salute to the Negro Leagues because they also, for a while, were also propping up the dress to the nines bit of
Yeah.
where everyone who went to a Negro Leagues game, you would come in your Sunday best. And they were like, "Hey, let's do that." I think they were kind of piggybacking on a fan movement there, but
Yes.
they
Yeah, they were.
haven't supported that anymore. And it's they did it. Why is Salute to the Negro Leagues on Father's Day? Why can't we have two separate things there.
Exactly.
Feels like those should be two separate things. It just feels like it cheapens the Negro Leagues experience a lot.
It does. Like you're not gonna put the armed forces salute game on the same day as Mother's Day. Like you're not gonna pair those things up. So why are we pairing this up when we could choose any
And
summer
we have
game?
800 different salute to the military games and one salute to the Negro Leagues. And come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my whole tangent. But all that to say, Bob Kendrick, you are a freaking baseball icon. Like
Someday we got to get him on here.
I know. Jeez Louise. I
Bob,
still
please. We're
please,
begging
Bob.
you.
I am like I'm sitting here remembering. I forget what year it was, but the best time that I've had with him on the call is when there was a rain delay. And he's
Yeah.
just sitting there
Well, I bet
just
that was
telling the
great.
stories. It was awesome. It was amazing. And, if you're there in the area, even if you're a local or if you're just traveling there, please go check out the museum. They're gonna give it a major facelift here in the coming years. They're gonna expand on it and everything like that. But just to see what it looks like now in the way that I feel like it's truly a passion project. You still have fingerprints of Buck O'Neill all over that museum. Like go check it out. It is so worth it. And just don't cheapen that part of baseball history and people will appreciate it more.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is on my short list of places I would go if a teleporter were invented tomorrow. Also, as far as cheaping out on the Negro Leagues, I have to point out that one of the things the Royals used to do when they had the full uniforms was auction them off and donate the
Yes.
proceeds to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So that's something
Yes.
that does not get to happen anymore. They might auction off the hats, I don't know, but that's a bummer.
It
That's
is.
any money we can give to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, we should be giving. I mean, obviously there's causes that need donations, but the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is absolutely deserving of donations and support.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I will say this, that if you go look up the Kansas City Royals auctions on MLB.com right now, they do have the pre-auctions going on for a game used in autographs hat for each player. For example, Jac Caglianone's right now as it sits, the current bid is $201. That kind of seems like a little bit of a steal,
On
I
a
will say, after he
two-homer
had his.
day, 2
Yeah,
homers, 2
exactly.
walks from Jack? Yeah, y'all better start bidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
swoop in there.
So like but here's the thing. I'll be completely upfront about this. I would go nuts for like if he had worn the Monarchs jersey and
Yeah,
had this output and
yeah.
you get a little plaque down there. You talk about his performance in that jersey. Oh man, like I'll be right. You see this light right here? Yeah, that'll just be a shining beacon of Jack Caglione right there. We haven't even gotten to some of the well, sorry. There's one number that I want to point out from this series against the Cardinals, and that is 21. 21 extra base hits this weekend, setting a franchise record for a 3-game series, just besting when they set that series or that record back in 2023. And overall, the Royals have 27 extra base hits in their last 4 games alone. That's the second most in a 4-game span in franchise history, trailing only a 2011 run when they had 28. So the bats are lively. The bats are hot. And it is up and down the lineup right now. I was looking at Lane Thomas as a trade deadline candidate, and wouldn't you know it, since the end of May, he's got a 156 WRC plus for the Royals. Like that
And
is
for the
that is just
season,
how hot the lineup is.
he's been great against lefties on the season.
He has.
He's going to be, and so many teams struggle with lefties. It's not just the Royals. Like, there's a reason the Royals couldn't get Taylor Ward for Chris Bubich. There's a reason that they had to get that they had to pay Lane Thomas, who was awful last year and hurt last year, $5.5 million guaranteed to get him into town. Everybody needs right-handed hitters who can hit lefties.
Mm-hmm.
It's an epidemic in baseball.
Yes, it is.
So Lane Thomas is going to be one of the more tantalizing trade targets for the Royals whenever we get to the trade deadline. or trade options,
Yeah,
not targets.
not targets.
Somebody else's target.
Yes, we have to shift that mindset because last year we were talking about who do we want the Royals to go get. Now it's who do we want the Royals to go send out. And yeah, we already talked about Jensen. We already talked about Jack. Salvi for all of his shortfalls this season, still doing great things when he is playing against the National League. I don't understand it, but he really finds that second gear, doesn't he?
He must think that the hitters pitch in the National League or something instead of the
I'm
pitchers hitting like they used to do.
I like that. I like that. Also, you talked about Nick Lofton earlier on. So get this: he's got 28 hits this entire season. 15 of them have now gone for extra bases, and
Maybe.
yeah, I know, right? That 53.6% rate of extra base hits is the third best in the American League. All right. And he has, since they started that series against the Nationals, he's got a OPS north of 1,000. Nick Lofton is red hot right now, just when he is going to get the most playing time, I want to add.
I don't know, man. I just let the healthy guys play.
Yeah.
Let these
Yeah.
guys let them take a break. I don't know.
And like that Tyler Tolbert and Michael Massey
Oh
play,
my
that was so
gosh.
fun.
It was. It reminded me of the Infante to
To
Esky
Escobar.
play back in 2015.
Yes.
Such a
That's
good
what
play.
everyone was saying. It was so fun.
I think, honestly, I think this one might have been more impressive because Massey had to dive on the wrong side of the bag from his belly, backhanded flip, and then Tolbert had to be paying attention, caught it with his glove and fired and did a 360 no scope throw to first right on
Yes.
target. Because it wasn't Vinny over there, it was Jack. And Jack is fine at first base. He's not amazing.
Hmm.
I don't think he's any better at first than he is in right field, though people are saying, go ahead and trade Vinny now. But Jack is not as good at scooping or stretching as Vinny is. He mistimes it a little bit. I'm not going to criticize him for it. He's barely played there for the last year.
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
am going to point out that, like, if you're thinking your first base problems are all that Jack does everything better at first than Vinny does, you're wrong. So it was the throw from Tolbert, and Tolbert, not a good defender usually, but he looked
Not usually.
fantastic Friday night.
Yes, he did. He really he took that opportunity and he ran with it. And like that's what some of these younger healthy guys can do. Like if you're going to give them the opportunity, when like wouldn't have thought that Tyler Tolbert would ever be getting innings at shortstop for the Kansas City Royals. He could play there, sure, but like, oh well, he fits better in the outfield or he fits better at second base. And lo and behold, he looked good. Arm looked strong. He looked competent there at shortstop. That matters. That matters when we like. I can say now, hey, Tyler Tolbert, I trust him if he needed to like hold down shortstop for a handful of games.
I think he was primarily a shortstop coming up through the
He
minors.
was. He
So
was.
it might be a case of he's better at shortstop than he is the other positions just because he's played there more.
Right. Right. And that's but like that goes back to Garcia.
Yeah.
Right? Like he did the same thing and he seamlessly transitioned over to third base and is still like a plus third baseman. Tolbert didn't do that. I wouldn't call him a plus outfielder or a plus second baseman, but you only get to showcase your value at second base so often. I know we're going on a tangent here. I don't want to detract the spotlight from Jac Caglianone today. I
Maybe.
really don't. That
Man,
444-foot shot, man.
I said at one point that all I was watching anymore was Jack's exit velocity numbers. That's all I need to make me happy watching a Royals game is Jack hitting the crap out of a ball. That 444 upper tank shot into the fountains.
Yeah,
I didn't actually get to see it because I was grabbing my
man.
lunch with my dad at that
Mm.
moment, but I saw the replay and oh man. And then the second one, I was a little worried he might have got out in front of it too much, but it was
Mhm.
also a no doubter. And of course, it was nowhere near the foul pole.
Exactly.
So, man, he has been on some other kind of heater. I tell you what, when Vinny does come back, Jack's batting third.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's
I
not
think
batting
that's the way to
third,
go.
I'm gonna riot.
Well, but like, wouldn't that be the best spot for the 2026 version that we've seen of Pasquantino? They're at fifth.
Yeah. No, this is we talked about this last podcast that no one gotten to listen to
Yeah,
yet,
sorry,
but
folks, sorry.
it's I've argued since Jack got called up, put someone behind him who can hit, force pitchers to come to him. And Jack right now looks as confident as I've ever seen him. He is demolishing the pitches he can hit and spitting on the pitches out of the zone. The sliders, the sliders from the lefties can still get him, sliders and sweepers. But those sliders from the righties, he spits on all of those now. He doesn't swing at them. He was swinging at all of those even earlier this year. This version of Jack, if this is who Jack is going to look like most of the time for the rest of his career, he is going to be a terror to the entire league. He is going to be a left-handed Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge will strike out. Aaron Judge, I'm going to look this up because I bet Aaron Judge's strikeout rate is the same, is very similar or higher than Jac Caglianone's right now. So I'm going to look this up. You say something.
Okay. So here's let me talk about some numbers here with Jac Caglianone, because I get it. The entire team has been great at the plate in June. I think they're fourth or tied for fourth in runs per game in the entire MLB at 5.6 runs per game. Like that is double of what we were seeing from this team at this point back in 2025. But Jac Caglianone alone in 18 games this month, he has 3 doubles, 7 home runs, and 16 RBI. Good for a, get this, 1.210 OPS. That ranks third in all of MLB. And today he just hit the second longest home run of his career, the 11th and the 12th home runs of the season. Now he has the team lead for home runs. And this team, a little while ago, we were talking about like, hey, they don't have any batters with double-digit home runs. Now you have Jack at 12, you have Salvi, you have Bobby Witt Jr., and there's someone else. There's Carter, who also has double-digit home runs. Now they're not getting the production just from one person. But this is what Royals fans wanted to see. Like, we wanted to see at this point in the season Jac Caglianone leading the home run charge. And is the total where I expected or wanted it to be? No. Like, I wanted the guy to have closer to 20 home runs at this point in the season. That would be the optimal outcome. But you're telling me that the guy is on pace right now for about 25 home runs. I'll take that. I absolutely will. What do you have for numbers there, Jeremy?
So on the season, Aaron Judge is around a 27% strikeout rate. Caglianone's at about a 29. So Caglianone's a little bit worse, not much. But if you look at just the last 20 games, Jack's strikeout rate is only 28%, and his walk rate's higher too. And of course, the ISO's higher. Everything is much higher over the last 20 games, and that goes beyond the hot streak. That goes back into a couple games there at the end of May. Well, I guess that's still part of the hot streak, but that's how long he's been hot now, is 20 games. And it also doesn't include today. So those numbers would go up even higher if I'm looking at the 20 games before today was a 179 WRC plus. Like you said, one of the best hitters in baseball, making a strong, serious case for MLB Player of the Month, or at least American League Player of the Month. I'd have to look to see. Yordan Alvarez is going to certainly put up a strong challenge there, but we'll see how it all breaks down by the end of the month. Anyway, the Jack's career strikeout rate is only 23% because he had a 22% strikeout rate last year. I'll take the more strikeouts if he's going to be hitting the ball like he's been hitting, and he's taken a lot more walks too.
Yeah, that he has. So Jac Caglianone, if you're not already on the Jack wagon, I'm sorry,
I've got someone working on the graphic.
Okay.
The graphic is coming.
All right. Listen, if you're not already on the Jack wagon, right now we're adding a hitch to the initial wagon, so we're expanding out. But I mean, the seats are filling up fast, so make sure you get on the Jack wagon.
I will say that before he got hurt, Aaron Judge had a 148 WRC plus. After today, Jack has a 128. So he's not Aaron Judge, but he's not that far.
He is not, and that's what matters. That's what matters the most to me.
And he's gaining rapidly.
Yes, precisely.
Went up 10 points today.
So here's the one, or not the one. There are two massive red flags for me from today's game. Stephen Kolek, the shortest outing of his 28 career starts. It was, he has a great track record of quality starts. I think like entering today, he had one of the best quality start rates in Major League Baseball from, primary starters. But he only got 4 outs today and was charged with 9 runs in his body of work. Like it just was not a good day for him. And Connor Siebold of all people coming in and getting a clean inning from him. And then on the last episode, we were talking about Steven Cruz having the longest scoreless streak from the Royals bullpen. Well, lo and behold, he comes out and allows 3 earned runs, his first earned runs in the month of June.
In defense of Steven Cruz, he
hmm
clearly was gassed,
He was.
and Q had this is not a criticism of Q. You had to leave him out there because your pitcher didn't make it out of this. Your starter didn't make it out of the second inning. Everyone's going to have to stretch a little today, and he was asking a little bit more. Steven Cruz has been one of the best pitchers this month, and Steven didn't quite get there.
Yep. Hey, you also talked about Beck Way on a previous episode, and he's the one who had the most outs today from any one of the Royals pitchers, and 1 hit, no earned runs, and 1 strikeout. Beck Way out there having more good outings than he is bad outings. I think that's
He's
all we
got
can ask of the guy.
He has one bad outing. Unfortunately, that was the one game he got to pitch in where the team was in the lead.
Right. And so that's what everyone's going to remember.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't it the same way with James MacArthur when he made his debut, or like his.
I don't remember. What only thing I remember about MacArthur is he gave up 7 runs in his debut with the Royals
Okay.
and then was good. He went back down to the minors. He was the 27th man, I think. And then he
Well,
went
that's
back down to
right.
the minors. And then when he got called back up, he was lights out and closed games through the end of September that year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Also, another tidbit to add to your Strom talk earlier on in this episode: 2 wild pitches today. That is, from a reliever up
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 and
and up
onside,
and yep. That is
grabbing
not
at his
good.
leg.
Just get him out of there already. Just
Yeah, I think he's going on the IL because the Royals need, after they used all their relievers today, they need to call up some more bodies. So sending him to the IL is an easy way to do that. Your other options are to demote Urseg, Lynch, or Way. And you're not demoting Lynch or Way with how they're pitching right now. And Urseg actually had a decent day, one in the
mhm.
third, scoreless with a strikeout. We talked about, and I guess it didn't no one's heard it because that's the episode that hasn't come out. We talked about you
Yeah.
could demote Urseg instead of Black when you reinstate Lugo. They chose to demote Black. So I don't think Urseg's going anywhere. But you can put Strom on the IL without it being, well, you suck. And to be clear, I don't know that Strom sucks. Strom might just still be hurt. His pitches might be getting hammered because he's leaving them up because he's having trouble finishing because he's hurt.
Precisely. So, Jeremy, anything else to add on the Cardinal series before we move on to Tampa Bay?
John Rave. John
Yes,
Rave.
yes, yes, yes.
I really like the way his swing looks with that toe tap. And I know he struck out looking today, but also that pitch was at least 2 inches inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready for the full ABS experience, please. And thank you. But again,
Yes,
a home run and a triple. His OPS, I think, is still up. It's still his OPS on the season, even after the strikeout, is 1886.
absurd.
Tiny, ridiculously small sample size. Don't read anything into that. But also, it's better if it's higher than if it's lower.
Right, right.
And I do want to say real quick about today's game in particular. The ninth inning, as the Royals were mounting their rally and they had runners at first and second with no one out for Cam Meisner. And Meisner did a sack bunt, and he did a good sack bunt. The Royals talk about how you just have to accept outs on the bases when you're aggressive on the base paths. Why are you aggressive on the base paths, but passive at the plate?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so scared I see the logic of a sacrifice bunt because you put the sacrifice bunt, it takes away the double play. It means a single ties the game. I get that. But also, Riley O'Brien is getting hit all over the park right now. Why are you gifting him an out?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And
And in that, go ahead.
I was just saying, Meisner's been hitting well.
Hmm.
The fielding and the base running decisions have been questionable at times, but the hitting has been there. So it's not
Hmm.
like you're looking at it and it was opposite handed. So it's not like you're saying, well, it was a lefty on the mound. We're scared to let Cam bat against that lefty. No, it was a righty on the mound. It felt cowardly, and it felt like that's the wrong decision to make there. Even if I see the logic, I really strongly disagree with the logic that I feel like the logic that says to not bunt there is much stronger than the logic that says to bunt there.
Correct. And like I feel like this is an instance of the Royals not being aware of who's on the mound. Rather they're just going with general broad strokes baseball knowledge. Because if you look at it, the Royals had runners on second and first with no outs when Meisner came to the plate. When Meisner came to the plate, they only made O'Brien throw 6 pitches in total to get 3 outs. Like this is a guy who's been erratic, who batters have found success against him when he has to come into them, when he has to come over the plate. And outside of Rave, the Royals didn't force him to do that. I get
You
it.
know,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I get it. You know that he's probably going to be in the zone when it comes to that first pitch. And getting down one is, it's not the best. But if you take, pitch 2, pitch 3, pitch 4, you at least open the door for him to make a mistake.
Yeah, this feels like a thing that the Royals have done a lot under Quatrero, which I've kind of let slide because I do think Quatrero has good reasoning for a lot of the decisions he makes. But I really do feel like they're too passive, too afraid sometimes when it comes to how they take their at bats. I wish they would say, I feel like it's always a mistake when the pitcher is struggling to gift him an out. And the Royals do that too often, it feels like. I can specifically remember in 2024 when the Royals were rallying against the Colorado Rockies in that series, and Garrett Hampson came to the plate. Now, Garrett Hampson, not a good hitter, but he took 2 balls way outside the strike zone and was still trying to bunt the third one. Like, let the guy walk you. If the guy's gonna walk you, let him. Why are you giving him an out when he's trying to let you on base? As I've said before, and I can't remember if I actually wrote it or if I just thought I was gonna write it, outs are the only finite resource in a baseball game. And I feel like the Royals are far yeah, I did write it because I was writing it about the base running. It feels like the Royals are far too willing to give up outs, whether it's aggressive base running, over aggressive base running, I would argue, or over cowardly bunting. To be aggressive in ways that might not get you outs instead of giving up outs.
Precisely. Precisely. All right. Before we move on to a little bit of MLB draft stuff and to our reviews for today, I want to there's so much going on in the baseball media sphere, I would say. Like it is kind of hard to keep up with stuff. But on this Father's Day, there's a YouTube channel out there. I'll drop the link below. It's called Game Winning RBI, and they did a very poignant, very emotional episode that heavily ties into that 1985 World series between the St. Louis Cardinals and Kansas City Royals. Highly suggest that even if you're an old fan or a young fan, go check it out. Brought a tear to my eye, and I think it's if we see things that connect on an emotional and human level, we should definitely go and check it out. But we're going to take a break real quick. Coming up on the other side, I'll talk a little bit of MLB draft stuff before we get into our reviews. Stay tuned. Welcome back to today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. Jeremy bringing up John Rave did remind me another piece of baseball content to highlight is back on June 15th, Driveline Baseball. I'm sure you've heard of them talking about their pitchers, but they do a lot of work on the batting side of the house as well. And that's where the next impact, that's the next frontier of developing position players is. Well, they had a cage session with John Rave this offseason, and it talks about how he went from that really high leg lift to a toe tap and just how that benefited him. And really, what I like about that is it gives insight into John Rave. It's not him just listening to coaches, it's him giving feedback to coaches and just showing how high his baseball IQ is. So it's it's about 15 minutes long. If it ain't for you, that's okay, but I really, really enjoyed this.
You sent me the link, and I'm looking forward to watching it after we're done here. I had noted the toe tap thing in the podcast that no one's gotten to listen to. Andy Rogers had written it up in the article when he got promoted. I did not know it came from Driveline. So that's an interesting twist as far as did the Royals hitting coaches come to you and tell you maybe you should try toe tap? Oh no, it was drive. Okay, Driveline. But I am on record, even though no one's heard the record yet. I am on record that I like that toe tap, baby. It's the same change that Maikel Garcia made before last season that worked out really well for him. It looks like it helps these guys get on time a little bit better and get out in front of the ball. Because what do we want to do with the ball, Jacob? Pull it in
Pull
the
it.
air.
Yep.
And when if you're a little bit quicker to the ball, as Maikel Garcia has been since the toe tap until now, he's looking a little
Yeah.
hurt. And what John Rave is doing is pulling the ball.
Yep, that he is. And to Driveline's credit, in the intro of the video, it does say that Rave approached them about making this change and not vice versa. So
Interesting.
there might be something there. But I don't want
You
to
know,
I don't want to
and
make conclusions.
let's not. I make a joke about which coaches came up with what. It doesn't matter. Like it's all interconnected. If the Royals didn't support the change, they would tell him not to do it.
Yeah,
And that was a criticism we used to be able to level against the Royals pitches, such as when Jacob Junis brought the cutter in and Cal Eldred said no, and that was a mistake. But one of the ways I like to praise the Royals is that their willingness to not get on guys for working outside of the team coaching. You know, Vinny kind of famously now lives in Nashville in the offseason where his hitting coaches are, his offseason hitting coaches are in the Royals. Talk about it. They don't complain about it. So I appreciate an openness that the team has shown in recent years to new ideas from outside the organization that can help their guys.
agreed. Agreed. Moving on to a little bit of MLB draft stuff because that is less than a month away. The draft is going to be on July 11th and the 12th in Philadelphia. I just signed up for the ticket sweepstakes yesterday, so hopefully I get a ticket to go. That'd be very, very fun. But the next step is the MLB draft combine. Now this is in the weeds, right? The NFL draft combine and the MLB draft combine very, very similar. You're getting a lot of physical metrics, you're getting a lot of interviews and things like that behind the scenes. But MLB Network, for all their flaws, they're gonna be pretty much going 24/7 on these events that are going on. So this goes on from June 23rd through the 26th. 192 of MLB Pipeline's top 200 draft prospects are on the list to attend, with so many more. So chances are that if who the Royals select with their, top five selections are going to be there at the combine showing out. I have a few guys that I'm looking at specifically for that sixth overall pick, but I want to stress that Tuesday, June 23rd is the day for watching, right? It's going to be the on-field workouts. It's going to be the showcase for MLB Network, and it's also going to be the showcase game that evening for high school players specifically. Just looking
Which
at rumors.
MLB would not allow people to draft if they had their way.
I know, right? That's
Something
man,
else
that
that
is
we talked about on the Lost episode that
yes,
hopefully
I'm
will become
gonna
unlost at some point.
yeah, that's the goal. I'm hoping that by the time we get out of here, I'll have a solid update on that, or at least something on Monday. A few names that I'm watching heading into the combine: left-handed pitcher Gio Rojas. That's a guy who, if you follow Royals Review on social media, it's already been highlighted that the Royals have sent out several guys to watch the prep pitcher. He's absolutely in play there, sixth overall. However, I would say that as of right now, it is as a underslot player and not as the sixth best pitcher in or sixth best player in in the draft. So maybe he can make a case. Go ahead.
What's underslot mean again? Is that picking a guy who shouldn't be drafted that high?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. Don't do that.
I hope it's not that, but
And
if
that
the
game
draft
never
was
works.
it certainly didn't work with Frank Mazzucato, did it?
Or Hunter Dozier or Jacob Junis.
Yeah, exactly. Another guy that I'm watching is Georgia Tech outfielder Drew Burress, a guy who certainly has a case to be the top outfielder in this draft. Thing about him is he's not a physical specimen from the right hand side of the plate, right? He's 5'9". He relies on that high leg kick. He's got very, very quick hands, but the thing is he has collegiate production, but we saw it with Gavin Cross. That collegiate production does not equate to being a successful professional player. So I think he's going to be a guy who could work his way into or out of the conversation at sixth overall. And then my long shot is a left-handed pitcher named Brody Belima, who I talk about the physical side of Burris. Belima's got it all. He's 6'9". He's from Massachusetts. He's another one of these northeastern pitchers who the Royals have a little bit of a tie to that region and picking prep pitchers, which is interesting. He has a very funky arm angle for his age, but a lot of control and command. I like him a lot. I don't know why he's not higher on public draft boards because everything looks good that I'm looking at, but he could really cement himself as an option at sixth overall
We
with a
gotta
good combine.
we gotta make sure to get Greg on here
Yeah.
before the draft. Uh, but the only comment I have about all that is that you're telling me that the guy from Mass has a lot of mass.
Yes, he has a lot of mass.
I have not heard an 80 grade name yet, Jacob, so I'm not prepared to draft any of those guys.
I completely
Show
understand.
me the Gage jump. Show
I
me
have
the
not
Cruz
seen that yet.
Schoolcraft.
I'm still waiting, so I'm about to I have it pulled up here in my drafts. What about Joseph Contreras? That's a guy that I'm looking at after sixth overall. No, not he wasn't showing out during the World Baseball Classic for Team Brazil. Do you remember that?
Mm, I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but it's not an 80 grade name.
All right, fair enough. 80
Jace
grade pedigree,
LaViolette.
I would say. Jace LaViolette. I wonder what he's doing nowadays. Anywho's.
Playing in the farm system for the Guardians. They were highlighting the MLB was highlighting he was playing against another top prospect in the minors today.
Gotcha. All right, Jeremy. What do you say we get to the reviews real quick, huh?
You don't got any great 80 grade names for me?
Nope, I got nothing right now.
I'm gonna have to
That's
go
a,
look at the list myself.
that's
Jeez,
part of the
Jacob.
combine, man. I gotta get these guys in front of me to know for sure.
All right. Yeah, let's go on to reviews, I guess.
All right. I got a review for a movie that my brother and I watched last night. It's called Whistle. It's a 2025 film that is like this B minus level horror movie that centers around high schoolers and who find an Aztec death whistle and they discover the sound it emits will summon their future deaths to hunt them down in the present day. It's different. It's
Why would you
different.
blow that? Why would you make that whistle? Why would you make that whistle?
Aztec death whistle?
Yeah.
That's it's a historical thing.
But why? Why did they
Why?
make it? Who
So
was like, "Yes, I wanna make the whistle that will make my death come sooner."
it's that's not like the point of it in history. It's tied to like the Aztec side of you know, summoning death, but that's not really what it was meant for. This is just kind of a horror story twisting it.
Okay.
I I think we described it perfectly. Like it was an okay movie. I wouldn't suggest it anyone watch it, but like if you're really looking for a straightforward I like ones that center around an artifact. It's a niche horror thing for me, and it's something that we've seen a lot in recent low level horror movies. Like I think of what is it? I think of Talk to Me. I think of Tarot. Whistle is another one. If you want to take it a step further, Obsession, which has been one of the biggest box office successes this year, kind of stems around something like that, but it just executes it much much better than Whistle did. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. I'm not gonna poo poo on it, but I'm not gonna sit down and watch it again either.
I need you to watch Widow's Bay and Heart
Okay,
Eyes.
I love Hard Eyes. Hard
You've
Eyes is
seen
very
Hard
good.
Eyes? Okay.
Yes,
I can't watch them because 'cause they're too scary, and I, as previously established, am a scary cat, but Hard Eyes was directed. I think it was written, but it was directed by one of the Dropouts stars, Josh Rubin, who does a lot of stuff in the horror movie space when he's not making silly noises,
yes,
on my favorite streaming service. So I want him to succeed, and, I needed to know if it was actually a good movie from someone I could trust.
gotcha. Well, yeah, man, good movie. And we're seeing a lot more of these content creators make successful forays specifically into horror. So that's something I'm really excited about.
I watched this YouTuber, Patrick H. Willems, and I've mentioned him on the podcast before. He does video essays about Hollywood and the art of making movies, but his goal, his dream is to actually direct movies. And one of the things he gets to do as part of Nebula, which is another great streaming service out there for content creators such as Patrick H. Willems and Lindsay Ellis and others, is they produce a movie that he directed, and so that's really cool. But one of his recent videos was about how there used to be a pipeline into feature film directing from music videos, and now that doesn't really exist, and so there's not really a pipeline anywhere for directors to get into the major motion film thing stuff.
No,
So, sounds like maybe horror movies might be a niche that you could try to sneak into. Maybe he'll figure that out. I would honestly be a little sad if Patrick H. Willems started directing big movies because I don't think he'd have time for his video essays anymore, and I love
probably
his
not.
video essays,
Yeah,
but, I support him in his dreams, so maybe he'll figure that out and get in there. I have no idea if he has any desire to direct horror. That might be the issue there.
maybe so. Maybe so. What do you got for a quick review today, Jeremy?
Right, I was supposed to have one of those.
Yeah, I reminded you before we started recording, man.
You did, and I never thought of one. I tried really hard. My review today is going to be an anime that I have not quite finished yet. Last time in the episode that no one's heard yet, I talked a little bit about the series finale of My
I
Hero
re-
Academia, which is one of the first anime I ever fell in love with that no one told me to watch. Like, for a while, I just had a friend who was like, I was like, "I'm ready for another anime, hit me," and he would recommend something to me. I found My Hero Academia on my own. And one that I found shortly after I found My Hero Academia, was Fire Force,
yes.
which if it might sound like, "What the heck is Fire Force?" And I'd tell you, "Well, it's about these firefighters." And you'd go, "Okay, interesting, sure, so like Chicago Fire?" Well, no, because the fire's alive. People are turning into infernals and just killing people and dying and setting things on fire. And the fire force is like an armed superhero squad with their own set of fire powers to combat these fire monsters. And I dig that show. The season one first opening, the art, the animation, the music, fantastic, incredible, 10 out of 10, no notes. I love it so much. It really sets the tone for what the show is, and I'm a big fan of openings and endings, whether it's anime or regular TV. My mom gets mad at me because we'll watch something like Slow Horses, and she wants to skip the intro, and I'm like, "No, that sets the whole mood for watching this show." But yeah, so Fire Force, I watched the first 2 seasons. I watched the first season shortly after it came out. I watched the second season while it was coming out, and then, of course, I had to wait for the 3rd season. When it came out, I didn't wasn't keeping up, wasn't paying attention. So I just finished rewatching the first 2 seasons and started the 3rd season, and I still love it. Still love it to
Good,
death. I'm about a third of the way through the 3rd season, so like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm loving it, man. It
good.
is a crap ton of fun. If you want kind of a superhero-ish vibe, with maybe a handful fewer characters from like a My Hero Academia. If you liked My Hero Academia, I think I can really strongly recommend Fire Force to you. I feel like it's a little bit more focused, and it ends after 3 seasons, so it does not have the time to just build up and overload like My Hero Academia did. And big complaint about My Hero Academia was that, especially when you got to the final fight between Deku and Creepy Hands guy, they both had so many powers, you had no idea what was going on, and they were mostly just shooting lasers at each other.
Mostly, yeah.
Everybody still has their individual specific power, and I love hearing, like, how are you going to use heat or fire in some unique, weird way this time for this new villain or hero? And it doesn't always make sense. Like, there's one guy who tattoos himself with fire and that somehow makes him stronger. I don't know, man. He also snowboards on the fire. It's I'm not saying that it makes sense. I'm just saying it's fun.
There you go. And that's what matters most. Hey, speaking
Rule
of
of
that,
cool. The
yes,
rule of cool is a thing, and fire. There ain't nothing cooler than Fire Force. Okay.
I like that. I like that. Hey, I know we were talking about that Jac Caglianone hat earlier on in the episode. I just refreshed it. It's now at $351.
If it's not at least $2,000, I'm going to be disappointed.
I
Even
agree
as I
with that.
also say that the Royals charity auction game every year makes me so not angry, not disappointed, sad, distressed. Because I'm like, man, that stuff looks cool. I don't have $1,500, $5,000, whatever to bid on this stuff.
Yeah,
I wish there was
I
stuff I
agree.
could afford. They had those really cool bats for that Flash thing
Well,
that
yeah,
they did yesterday with
yeah,
the World Baseball Classic bats. I was like,
that was
man,
fun.
I'd love to have that Italy bat. I don't got $250 to throw away on a bat that I don't have anywhere to put.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And if I'm gonna
Exactly.
donate to a charity, like I might donate $250 to a charity, but it's gonna be a charity that I know exactly what they're doing with it, and I know like how important that need is. And that's not a criticism of the Royals charities. But I don't know what they do with the money. So I don't know how important the cause is that I'm like, is it vital that they get this $250 right now? Because that's the only way I'm putting $250 into a charity is if it's gotta get there right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
not that rich.
no,
I'm just not.
neither am I. I will say the
I don't
only
the Pop-Tarts do not go for that much on the resale market.
no, they do not. Facebook Marketplace has not been cashing in for me as it usually does. I will say selfishly, the one thing that I really want off of the Royals auction is on their buy it now side. They have a bundle of a game used ball from each one of the 2015 World Series wins. They have a ball from game 1, game 2, game 4, and game 5. I'm like, that'd be pretty cool.
How much
Not
is
gonna
that
lie.
going for?
$3,500.
Jeez Louise.
Yep. There's a reason why it's buy it now, not auction, Jeremy.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yep,
Who has $3,500 for 4 balls?
someone does. Someone does. And you and I both know it that someone does.
Yeah, and we don't need to say any more about that right
Nope.
now. We don't
Nope.
need me on that soapbox today.
Nope, we are going to go ahead and get on out of here and close out today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. Thank you all for joining us. Final reminder, subscribe or follow the podcast wherever listening to
Vote
us
Jack.
at Vote Jack for the All-Star ballot. That phase 1 voting is closing soon, so make sure you vote Bobby, vote Jack, vote Maikel, or just vote in general, whoever you think should be in the All-Star game. But I am Jacob Milham. There, Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
Go vote Jack. Go
Go
vote
vote
Jack.
Jack.
Go vote
vote
Jack.
Jack.
We can't sync this. This is not working.
No,
Just
we
go
can't.
vote Jack.
Yeah.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.